Hey, well, today let's talk about rewinding. Just let's rewind. Let's bring it on back. When I was in high school a million years ago, we used to have 50s days. We would have that, everyone dressed up like the 50s. We'd all laugh and giggle and, yabba dabba doo and all that business, We would have a great time being in the 1950s. Wow, baby. And we'd roll our Levi's up and we'd have our shades on. And one of the reasons that the Happy Days was so popular was, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was a fun time, and it was the time of Ozzie and Harriet. It was post-war. It was a peaceful decade. Dwight D. Eisenhower was on the golf course. Everything was cool. Suburbs were in. Every house looked exactly the same. Yada yada yada. People like to rewind. Now every rewind, it's the 80s. Wow, we're gonna go all the way back to the 80s. Wow, wonder what it was like in the 80s. I'm like, what are you talking about? It was just yesterday. Yesterday. That song came to Paul in a dream. Isn't it funny? He didn't even, he just heard it in his mind. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. Now it looks as though they're here to stay. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Suddenly, I'm not half the man I used to be. There's a shadow hanging over me. Oh, I believe in yesterday. Why she had to go, I don't know. She wouldn't say. I said something wrong. Now I long for yesterday. Well, people like that. They like going back. They like, But the Lord says that we're going to go from glory to glory to glory. We're going to be moving up. Moving on up to the west side. Helmsley and the whole crew, moving on up. They're gonna make things happen. Well, let me just tell you kindly that it isn't a matter of one or the other. Yes, it's good to reflect back on the past. It's good to see where we were and where we are. That's where the glory comes. I keep thinking I'm going to recognize the street here and I'm going to mail this letter, but I can't seem to. I think this is it. I think this is the street. I'm going to make a right here, and there's a post office right there. That's what I think. It's Carnelian or something like that. Carnelian. Carmingia. Well, having a 50s rollback, having an 80s reminisce, going back to the future, all those things, they're fun, they're cool, they're groovy. Yeah, baby, we want to have some fun. We're going to have fun, till my daddy takes the T-bird away. I think I misunderstood the street. I think I passed the post office, so I'll just have to go to another post office and I will get it done. I will get this done. I'm going to get her done, Charity. Going to get her done. I'm going to go meet the new sheriff in town today and see if he's there. And he's been out in training, so that's going to be cool to see the new guy. And I think I'm right on time. Well, I do these devos every single day. I do them every day. I've done them every day for years now. And right now I'm feeling really upset. If I wanted just to break down and just start sobbing, I have plenty of heart and I have plenty of pain to fuel an out and out just bawling, crying, snotty mess. I mean, I could just bawl my eyes out. And I do cry. And Megyn Kelly, I like watching Megyn Kelly. She gives me a good perspective. They were talking about how, there's, I don't know, it seems like every man in the universe is now, coming under fire. Dozens of people are lining up, and I'm just like, oh boy, and we have a right to be heard. And I mean, to me, my experience is that you've always got a right to be heard. At least in my community, I don't ever remember a time when someone did not have a right to be heard. Well, I just said that, and then the Lord said, shut up, stupid. Yeah, I just heard that. Shut up, stupid. No, he didn't say that. That's my words. But I immediately felt corrected the minute I said that, because I'll tell you in a second here. Bubba cake. Full of ice. I finished off the last of the ice from the Super Bowl party, so there's no more ice. Bye-bye ice. No more ice. Let me tell you, when I was a boy, and that was back in the 1950s and 60s, I was not heard. It just dawned on me just now as I said that I was not heard. I was scared. Now we're rewinding now for a quick blip back to the past. I wasn't heard, I wasn't respected, I wasn't loved in a way that I felt loved. There were some people that did love me. I had my Aunt Judy. My Aunt Judy, she was, God bless Judy. Judy always made me feel loved. She always was tender and kind to me. She was always sweet to me. She wasn't mean to me. She was never rude to me. She always had a big hug and a kiss for me, and it's starting to kind of dawn on me that I'm opening up a whole nother line of healing in my life by saying this, because I think there's a vulnerability in my soul in regards to that need to be loved, the need for tenderness and grace and kindness. I don't like meanness. I don't like being slapped around. I don't like people with hard metal belt buckles taking them off and slamming me in the hall closet, hallway. I remember the door being closed, and I was in that closet. I was in that hallway. It's a narrow hallway. I mean, it wasn't more than 3 feet wide, maybe. It may have been 3 feet wide. Let's just call it at that. The minimal width. And my mother would just, I can see her just striking me over and over and over again with a metal belt buckle belt. I can remember taking my head and pounding it into the wall. I can remember the abuse. I can remember the time that my dad came in and he was just like shocked because there was a hole in the wall, and this wasn't drywall. This was not your cardboard drywall that was, oh well, you breathed a little too hard there, old boy. You just breathed a little too hard. Don't breathe on the wall; it could collapse. These paper doors and paper walls they have today. No, I was leaning on my own car here. This car, I was leaning up against the car to do something, and then it was kind of on an angle, and so I just took my knee and I just pressed against the car to kind of help me press back off, and I put a dent in the car. I'm like, so I had to take the side panel off the inside of the car, and I took the panel off the car, and then I got the inside guts out and and I popped it right back, popped it right out. It was okay, but looking back has a point. Just now this morning, I've opened up a little bit of my past to explain to you what I lived through and what my experience was. My experience was not one of it's a wonderful day in the neighborhood, a wonderful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I was dreaming last night about my mother, and this is the Mother's Day, I guess. Happy Mother's Day! Good for you, Bob. You got a bad mother. You got a bad mother. Don't say it. I'm talking about Shaft. Oh, that's okay then. Yeah, remember that song about Shaft? Oh, help me, Lord. So, and I was picturing the house on Hemlock Way in Pomona, California, where I grew up. I could see my mother's ice in the Pepsi. I can remember getting slapped silly because I didn't get the ice in the Pepsi fast enough. I can remember that there was a stain on the bricks. It was kind of a rough, bricky, it wasn't a real nice fireplace. It wasn't like the 40s fireplace. This is a modern one with kind of weird beige bricks that were just rough, and they were very sharp. I remember the sharpness of the coffee table, and every one of the kids in the family had gotten a scar off that coffee table. It was marble and it had sharp points on it. I mean, who would do that to children? I mean, just abusive even in the furniture. I can remember my grandmother, Jean, she would, I remember she came over at least the one time, but probably many times. And here I go, I'm gonna do the departments method. It was one time, but it's probably a lot of times. Yeah, it was every day. It was multiple times a day. Oh my God! The hyperbole method. No, it was the one time. I remember one time my grandfather gave my dad a suit coat or a shirt or something, and she came back the next month because she was coming from Arcadia, and this is back in the 1960s when traveling from here to Pasadena or here to Arcadia or traveling from here to Palm Springs, it wasn't like just hop in the car and, you know, an hour and a half, boom, I'm there. No, this was traveling on, you know, old streets, the stop signs. They didn't have signals. In many cases, there were just a bunch of stop signs. There was no signals. There was no. It wasn't an easy task to get where you wanted to go. It just wasn't. It was not. Well, my grandmother came back the next month, and I do remember this. Nobody ever sat on that couch. Not because it was a rule against it. It was because it was impossible. There was no way to sit on the couch because the couch was just pile high with clothes. People would just, it was like a giant clothes receptacle. And my grandmother laid the thing there, and then I remember they had to clean off the chair that was opposite of my mother, and to get the spot for my grandmother to sit. And there was a TV over there, and I remember the time my dad, he beat me up right before I went to school. He just literally gave me a black eye and slapped me around and threw me down like a rag doll, and it was like, well, Bob, why don't you leave, Bob? Just take off. You could be emancipated. I wasn't that old to be emancipated. And nobody listened to me. Nobody cared. Where am I going here? I have no idea. I don't even know where I am now. Oh, you know what? I think I gotta go this way, actually. Yeah. I'm all mixed up here. All right. I got off, and I was still in the living room on Hemlock Way getting beaten up by my dad. Wow. Well, I'm going to have to go to a part 2. I don't normally do part 2s here lately, but I'm going to go to a part 2. So stay tuned. If you don't want to watch part 2, give me a call. I'll tell you all about it. 1-213-713-8954 or 8954greenatt.net on the Twitter, Mr. Bob at BobBomb8954. And of course, you're watching Bob's Daily Devo here on YouTube, where violence is king. No, violence is not king. And today, 2018, I'm not getting beat up. I'm not beating anybody else up. Proud to say that my boy, he never got one lick, never got one, even a little swat. He was Good boy. Give him a call. Talk to you in a few. Bye.